Phase 5 of the MCU is officially over, so here's my ranking of every movie and TV show in Phase 5 from worst to best. And you might be thinking, wait a second, isn't the Ironheart TV show that comes out next month a part of Phase 5? Well, yes, you'd be correct, but I'm pretty sure everybody on the planet, including Disney, forgot this thing even existed. There's not even a trailer for it yet. In last place has to be one of my biggest MCU disappointments of all time, Secret Invasion. I was so hyped up for this show. It seemed like it was going to go for those Captain America, the Winter Soldier, like spy thriller vibes. We had Nick Fury leading this, and obviously Samuel L. Jackson's incredible. Supporting cast was great. You had Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, you had Don Cheadle coming back as War Machine, Emilia Clarke joining the MCU, and it was all completely wasted. This was such a mess. And the show just became so unbelievably goofy by the end. You had Gaia becoming like the most powerful character we've ever seen in the MCU, but nobody cared. It wasn't done well. And is Echo, another show that they were pitching as like their new prestige television thing, but it ended up just being incredibly boring and corny every time that Echo herself wasn't on screen. She was a fine enough side character in Hawkeye, but she definitely just did not have enough content to fill out her own TV show. Like, some of the stuff between her and Kingpin was decent enough. Everything else is literally just not worth watching this series, and I don't think most people did watch this, honestly. And number 9 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I was kind of a defender of this movie when it first came out, even though I didn't think it was really good. I thought people saying it's like the worst MCU film of all time was a bit of an exaggeration, and I still stand by that. I think there are worse MCU films, but this was just such a steep downgrade from the first two Ant-Man movies, which I actually really like. First of all, the whole quantum realm thing was a whole mistake. Like, visually, it looks absolutely terrible to look at in this movie, and just as a concept, it really isn't interesting as a story. I actually think some of the stuff between Janet and Kang in this movie was really solid, and Kang on his own has some really great moments, but the decision to have him defeated by an army of ants while he was being built up to be the next big Avengers threat at the time was also just an incredibly stupid decision by them. Other small things like not bringing back Luis and the rest of the ex-cons, like their chemistry with Paul Rudd is what made the first two Ant-Man movies so funny. Why would you completely cut them out of this film? I don't know what they were doing with this movie. At number 8, I have The Marvels. I actually don't think anything about this movie is terrible, but it's almost worse than that because everything in this movie is just so unbelievably boring and forgettable, which is like almost worse than being just a straight up bad movie. And it's kind of funny that this villain in the movie actually has pretty decent motivations compared to a lot of MCU villains, but the character herself is just so unbelievably forgettable. If you offered me $10,000 to say what her name is, I literally couldn't do it. The only kind of saving grace of this movie is the chemistry between the three different Marvels, and I don't think the movie leans into it enough. Like, there's some really funny moments, some really sweet moments between these three main characters, but once again, this is one of the shortest MCU films. We don't really get time to grow and develop with these characters and their relationship between each other, so it just feels like a big waste of space. At number 7 is Captain America: Brave New World, which is a bit of a jump up in quality for me. Like, yeah, this movie has a lot of problems. It's the weakest of all the Captain America movies we've ever seen, but there are a lot of moments I really like in this movie. I think the Red Hulk, how his character is handled, is actually really solid. I do like Sam Wilson as the new Captain America. I do think that one action sequence around the Celestial in the ocean, I think that's actually a really cool sequence. So there are really solid moments in this movie. Again, it's kind of just a mediocre middle of the road MCU film to me, not like one of the worst things ever created like a lot of people were saying. I really think the biggest problem with this movie is the fact that Sam Wilson's Captain America is kind of one of the least interesting aspects of the film. Like, Red Hulk and Ross's storyline is way more intriguing. The things that we were seeing with Sam Wilson's character in the Falcon and Winter TV show is what this movie should have been, honestly. Everything with him dealing with, do I accept the shield or not, bringing in John Walker, that would have been a better Captain America 4, and I feel like that's why a lot of people are really hard on Brave New World, because this was simply a better Captain America movie. And number 6 is Agatha All Along, a TV show I accept. I am simply not really the target audience for this. I understand the people that super love WandaVision and super love this. I'm very happy for you guys. This was just kind of fine to me, an enjoyable enough show. I think the concept of like being on the witch's road and every week's episode being like a new trial that the gang had to encounter, I think that was actually pretty fresh and unique compared to a lot of MCU TV shows. And this show was really carried by Agatha and Rio's chemistry, who is played by Aubrey Plaza, if you didn't know. A lot of the stuff with Billy Maximoff in the show kind of fell flat for me. I think the creators felt like, oh, we need to have some heavy connection to Wanda in this show, but I don't think it was handled the greatest, and to be honest, this guy's probably the weakest actor in the entire show. Number 5, we're finally to just a straight up enjoyable MCU project with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Now, I know this isn't technically like canon in the main MCU timeline, but on every list I looked up, they had this in MCU Phase 5, so I'm including it in my list. And if you don't know, this show was actually originally created to be the origin story for Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU, but as they were developing it, they're like, hey, we have a lot more freedom if we just put this in like a parallel reality that's very similar to the MCU, and I think that was actually a great choice. And this kind of has a similar problem to Captain America: Brave New World, where the main character, in this case being Spider-Man, Spider-Man is kind of the least interesting character in his own show. Like, I thought Coleman Domingo's version of Norman Osborn was absolutely incredible. I honestly would be so okay with him being cast as a live-action Norman in the MCU. Such a fresh and great perspective on this character. I can't wait to see him evolve more into that like Green Goblin role in the next season. We know it's coming. And like everything with Lonnie slowly descending into this gang and becoming Tombstone, I thought that was also incredible stuff. Again, Peter Parker's kind of the least interesting character in this, but they do have a very fun and a unique twist on his origin story that I think when they revealed that in the final episode, I really liked it. The animation overall takes a little bit to get used to. It's kind of slow and choppy at times, but after you watch like 2 episodes, I kind of fell in love with the art style. I think it looks really solid overall. At number 4, I have Daredevil Born Again. I really enjoyed this season. Again, very flawed like a lot of Phase 5, but the highs of the season do get very close to the highs of the original Netflix Daredevil show. And it all comes down to this amazing dynamic between Daredevil and Kingpin, watching them both kind of like go through this process of getting back to their own ways throughout the entire season, and then it just all coming together in those last like 2 to 3 episodes was absolutely masterful. And this season was made by 2 different creative teams, and it was kind of jammed together. And all the stuff that we got after they brought back the original Netflix creators of the show was absolutely amazing. So I think season 2 could genuinely be an absolutely amazing season. All my problems come with the stuff that was from the overhaul. Like some of the episodes in the middle definitely fall flat. I think Muse as a character was definitely underutilized, although it does seem like he's gonna somehow come back in season 2. So a deeply flawed season, but the highs are incredible. Make sure to hit that like button. Let me know your top 3 favorite MCU Phase 5 projects in the comments below, or if you want to get crazy and do your entire ranking of the entire phase, let me know that too. But my number 3 is Thunderbolts. I absolutely love this movie. It made me fall in love with this team of just the most random misfit characters in the entire MCU, and obviously that's the whole theme of the entire movie, all these misfits kind of coming together, but I absolutely adored their dynamic, how we really deal with some serious topics in this movie. I thought how we deal with like the Void and everything was perfect. Speaking of the Void, him and Sentry, straight up one of my favorite MCU characters, villains, everything like of all time, honestly. Like this was legitimately an incredible performance from Lewis Pullman. I love the physicality of it, his action scenes, and actually like the deeper meaning behind his character. I love how this movie really just gives everyone a moment to shine. Like Sentry and Yelena, obviously the MVPs of the film, but Red Guardian absolutely nails the humorous elements of the film. Like every line he had was hilarious, but the more serious stuff between him and Yelena was also hitting. We get to dive more into who John Walker is, what he regrets, why he acts the way he does. I thought his Void sequence was incredible. Bucky's action scene in the movie, his chase scene, absolute perfection. Taskmaster, mind-blowing stuff. I think Ghost is the only character that's slightly underutilized, but still her powers are at least cool, so every time she is in a fight, at least the scene is nice. And number 2, another team-up movie, it's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think this movie is just slightly funnier and slightly more emotional than Thunderbolts, but both films handle both elements perfectly. And come on, this is James Gunn operating at his highest level. The soundtrack is kicking, it looks incredible, the action is fun, one of the best villains we've ever seen in the MCU with a high evolutionary. It's pretty much as close to a perfect conclusion you could ask for from these characters. But at number 1, it's not even really close. It's Loki Season 2. Season 1 was in Phase 4, but Season 2 was a Phase 5 project, and this was pretty much perfection from start to finish, and the final episode of this season, one of the greatest things the MCU has ever done. We got some crazy news about Miles Morales being in Spider-Man Brand New Day, how the new Avengers are going to be forming, and everything we know about the new X-Men movie in the MCU, so click above my head right now to watch that video. Thank you so much for watching.